Hi, welcome. My name's Dale McCluskey, and on this video, I'm going to be going point by point through how I perform socialization by way of dogs. And here in this video, you're going to see me building that bridge by way of a dog that I had with me for a 2-week board and train, Koji. And you'll see me bringing Koji out here in a moment here on the video. And I'm working off another dog, Scrappy. Scrappy's owner already kind of set up here in the corner of the training area, facing opposite. We'll talk about that as I go along. As I prepare to perform a socialization exercise. Now, just to mention this video here, yeah, it's unlisted. It's part of the member area, so I would encourage you if you're looking for additional video content by way of instructional videos, you can check out the member area option where I have lots of additional videos by way of instructional and insightful videos to help guide you through the training process. Now here, again, I'll be showing part of this video here where I'm showing how I'm setting socialization in motion. Understanding, again, that's where you get into this issue about reactivity. You know, dogs that are very reactive, expressing control towards other dogs. This is how you want to do it. You do not want, and again, the temptation is, okay, well, I'll just let my dog kind of go out and, check out the other dog, so that they can kind of, get along. Without you, okay, being what I call the pivot point. Without, again, bridges being built by way of you, aligning yourself in and through the social way in which dogs connect with other dogs, other humans, with you being without you being the focus of the relationship that way. And the problem with that, understand, this is the problem by way of control issues. When you start to deal with relationship problem with dogs, how it is that, dogs can appear to be somewhat behaved even as they're gaining an incredible amount of control in the relationship by way of how they're just bypassing you as a pivot point. They're connecting with other dogs, other people, children, and they will appear at times well behaved. But I tell people is don't be deceived, because again, kind of like the flash point in the relationship is once the dog starts to gain more and more control, getting kind of free access that way beyond you, it starts to lead towards problems. And so again, when you step into certain situations, certain interplays that way, and bring a dog under intentional control, try to get a dog move a dog away from certain people, you see a dog start to get nasty. In many cases, because again, or they will not listen. They start to become very challenging to being, for you kind of interceding and trying to advocate, because that's the point. The point is they start to gain control beyond you, because again, you should be the kind of central figure, because again, understanding dogs as social animals, as pack animals, that's very important. So here in this exercise, this is a reversal situation. So here I have Koji again for a 2-week board and train. So as I go through a board and train process, I get to a point where I start to introduce other people, other dogs, other more challenging situations. Once a dog is advancing, doing well in the board and training process. So it's like already knowing, understand that, everything becomes a controlled exercise. Controlled in a way in which you don't want, to get blindsided. Should never be in a position, and here's my kind of challenge, if you ever get blindsided where suddenly a dog's reacting and you're just caught off guard, well, that tells you right there's something wrong with how you're doing, how you're building bridges. Because it's about being intentional in a way in which is going to reveal the dog's state of mind. And so you're not going to get caught off guard. You're going to get the right information as you build bridges the way that I show. and it's going to keep it safe while change happens the right way. So it's always about putting things to the test. So here, again, I have Scrappy's already set up the other way, and you're going to see me here disappear off camera here in a moment to go bring Koji out into the scene.
Extremely high caliber, we're talking like police dog caliber. So therefore the process itself can be a little bit more challenging, but he's doing really well. So I'm going to bring him out.
So again, Koji is ready for this. So now I bring Koji out. You're going to notice I'm going to go right to the other side here, facing the opposite direction. We'll talk about that too. So right away, you don't want to open that window up.
Turn right away
to allow a dog to be able to see. So right here, you see.
Turning.
So right here, you see me. What I'm doing is when I bring Koji out. Because understand that once you get, once the dog is already gained control in the relationship in and through the owner, then there's a level of what I call stinking thinking that's already underway. It's happening. So you want to make sure you're intercepting, okay, that stinking thinking right away. Okay, because again, think about the issue about, control, gives, comfort, fulfillment, agreeableness, but the wrong way. So it's all about context here. So again, when you let a dog just go and say meet another dog and get them to work it out, bad things may not happen at the time, but it may be building up and leading to a bad relationship. Because again, it's understanding why it is. It's very important that you're the pivot point in and through that. And so again, when you're creating that foundation the right way, there does come a point where there's more and more freedom. Dogs will come together. It will be like play, okay? Because the deck has already been reshuffled, so to speak, and you're at the top, okay? And so therefore, the dog is a follower to you. Control isn't manifested and being expressed that way. And then, the issue about, again, I tell people what the test is. If the dog is out with another dog, you should immediately be able to say, come. And that dog should immediately respond and come right back to you off leash. You should have that level of control. You should be perceived the right way that way. And so again, by here, in terms of rebuilding bridges, how I'm doing this is, again, this is a type of socialization exercise you'll see me doing on the videos, or right away, I'm angling. Okay, so I call it just like the hand on a clock, okay, how I'm pivoting, how I'm turning at times. And again, what this will do is it will reveal the dog's state of mind. Because the more desperate a dog is to try to bypass me, to try to turn their head, to try to connect that way, to try to, catch a look. Okay, that gives you the information. Because my intent is I'm, communicating through the leash is for that not to happen. Okay, so the level of contrast or the level of challenge happening that way is going to provide context. Because the more agreeable, the more the dog is kind of like, well, you know what, I don't care anymore. I'm just letting it go. That tells you too. That says, okay, well, we're getting somewhere. So here, again, this is meant to reveal and change at the same time. So you'll see me nudging. Okay, you'll see me, and again, I'm watching the dog's body language, how relaxed the dog is, how relaxed Koji is. As I'm, moving, you'll see me kind of shuffling forward here. And I'm even using my whole body. You'll see me use my, using my leg. I'm just totally engaged in affecting change by way of a dog's state of mind.
Put him into a sit.
So sometimes, again, and pay attention. When you see that shaking, you see dogs will do that. Again, after you bring a dog under intentional control, you see that shaking. It's almost like they act like they're almost wet. Okay, they're trying to shake the water off their body. That shaking, that's endorphins kicking off. Okay, that's a sign that you're dealing with a dog that is more excited by way of, again, the process. It's like a runner's high. That's shaking. So you'll see pit bulls doing that. You'll see certain dogs will shake their body that way. That's just a sign that you're dealing with a dog that has a little bit higher level of social need. See, notice the tail wagging here too. I talk about that. Okay, that's another sign. Okay, that's why I say don't be deceived. You know, you see people look at, you know, dogs, you know, body language, say, oh, that's a happy dog. No, doesn't mean it's a happy dog at all. Okay, you know, it's context again. You see a dog's tail wagging stuff right before someone gets bitten. Not saying that's going to happen here in this situation whatsoever, but you know, it's about endorphins kicking off.
My time. So as he was over there before.
So right here, what I do is before I move, okay, before you move with the dog, and this is where again you want to make sure, okay, I'm okay, and the person, the helper with the other dog, that they're settled in as well. So this is a controlled exercise in the sense that you want to make sure everybody is on the same page. And you definitely don't want to bring a dog into the picture that has a certain level of control manifesting in a relationship. That's going to be a trigger point. So the helper dog that you're using, you want that dog to be somewhat like, I don't care. But controlled too, in and through the leash. Because this is meant to be a very controlled exercise. You don't want an off-leash dog, you know, moving around. You'll see me in some of my videos where I'm doing that with Polly. And Polly was a smaller dog, and I had total control. And I can really control all of that. But here, you know, this situation here, especially with some dogs, you want this to be very controlled, very intentional, very methodical, very controlled. It's because it's about moments. Okay, it's just about nudging, intercepting, just as Koji is trying to, even as Koji's eyes will slide to the side, I'm going to nudge a little bit, because what I'm communicating is, hey, I own everything. Okay, you know, yes, you will get to maybe meet Scrappy, but it's going to be through me, okay, in a very intentional, controlled way. Because again, about me being the pivot point, just like here with, you know, Scrappy's owner, same thing, pivot point. So we're both doing the same thing the same way. So before I move off, I'll make sure, number one, is Koji is relaxed. And then, you know, Scrappy is okay too. So it's always about managing, you know, a very controlled thing. So it's like making sure everybody is kind of prepared as you move.
Coming out, this is where, again, having the remote collar on him and just kind of...
See, even as I'm talking here, I'm nudging, I'm paying attention here to Koji's state of mind.
Nudging, just do vibration. So it's kind of like a pre-socialization exercise. So you never want to rush this. You know, there's an awareness that he knew the other dog was here. And he had...
And now I am using a choke chain here too. Again, because again, there's times that I want extra control, I want leverage. But this is where you get into this advanced, you know, part of it where if I, you know, was helping someone, say, train through this system, you know, I really would be very careful with how some people use certain tools. Okay, because you get, again, certain level, it's very surgical. Okay, because the tendency is, if you're not familiar with how certain tools are, especially being dialed in the right way, the tendency is for the tools not to be effective that way. Either either there's going to be too much influence happening through the tool, there's going to create too much conflict, or not enough. So a choke chain is very tricky. Okay, especially with some dogs. I can do it, and very effectively, and this is the point of a board and train. When I'm training a dog, I mean, I can maximize change very quickly. Okay, so, you know, but if you're just learning the system, and I would recommend using a standard flat collar. Yeah, both collars on the dog at the same time, a choke chain and a flat collar, but keeping things leveled down and really learning how to, control through the leash, and how to be dialed in, and how to intercept. You know, it's going to be much better learning through just a straight collar, even though it's going to maybe be a little bit more frustrating, because that's going to give you the skill level that once again you get to a certain level in the system, then you switch over to something like a choke chain. You're dialed in at such a level that you can really manipulate the choke chain in such a way that it's going to be very effective. So it's just really important to really get dialed in the right way before you just switch over to certain collars. So again, when you see me using a choke chain with a dog, I wouldn't always recommend that be the case for many people. Okay, just understand that. So you have to be very careful and very aware, because otherwise you could send a dog into a high level of conflict, a high stress, put a high level of stress on the dog.
I had a little bit of, moments of, definitely wanting to get out here, but again, getting him to relax.
So right there, so you see me adjusting the choke chain, and keeping up high on Koji's neck here. But again, just making sure placement, because, even when you're interacting, even if you're doing everything right, it'll still can start to creep down, fall down someone on the dog's, neck area. So you want to keep it up high in the sensitive part of the dog's neck, because therefore, again, it's going to be more effective.
Calm down. So right here, just tapping. So he's at a critical age right now, 8 months. So another couple months, his intensity level is just going to keep going through the roof. But this is about, right relationship. So he needs to be a follower.
So notice here, I'm just taking my time. I'm not moving fast here at all, because that's the other thing too. It makes no sense, because understand, when you're doing this type of exercise, it's not about the two dogs coming together. Okay, understand that when you're doing this type of exercise, it's bridge building. Because the problem is, a lot of people have a tendency to want to, they want to make it about the dogs meeting, or they want to make it about someone getting a pet on their dog. If you do that, okay, it's going to lead to problems, because then you're making it about the human and not about the dog's state of mind. So when I'm doing a type of exercise like this, I have no kind of predetermined, kind of idea, goal as to how close in, how far I'm going to get. I might get really far in. You'll see me get pretty close here in this video. But, in terms of, where I end up, just like, again, I tell people, when you're walking a dog, you're rebuilding the walk. It should not be about distance. It's about relationship. So the theme is, it's about, starting to affect change. So a lot of times I'll be, advocating the one-step method to rebuild the walk. So it's always about, working towards, getting to a very high level with the dog, but you have to develop a lot of patience, and you have to kind of reset your goals.
And his owner needs to be faded in, but again, she's doing really well. So here, same thing. See, notice how I'm just kind of tapping a little bit. I got him at an angle here.
So you see, and you see Koji yawning here. Again, and this is the other thing too, and that's why I tell people when they're all caught up and wanting to pet on their dog. Because right here, I'm having lots of great moments, and people say, well, give Koji some loving, give him some. Don't do that, okay? Because it's this thing, if it's about, clarity. One of the big themes is clarity through the right parenting style. If you start to pet, you're switching over to emotion. And that will empower a dog that's already been empowered through their owner that way. And so what a dog needs is clarity through leadership. Influence, again, happen at the right moments. And so the positive, the replacement for the petting, is the fact you're taking stress off of your dog. Okay, that's the positive. That's a big deal. And moving towards a better relationship. So because again, and then if you're rewarding, you're assuming something. You're assuming wrongly. Because you're assuming this dog's state of mind, the relationship is cleaning up that fast. And see, that's the thing. Understand that there's so many factors that weigh into what people do. Because again, when I see someone petting on their dog, right away, I know that's a major problem, because they're assuming that the relationship's cleaning up. So therefore, influence isn't going to, they're not going to be dialed in properly anyway. They're not going to be advocating properly. As soon as I see petting going on, I already know that the owner, the human, is thinking wrongly about a process, or thinking wrongly about a certain moments, or thinking wrongly about the state of mind of a dog. So all those things factor in. And so you know that they're not going to achieve the level of change that is needed, or it's going to take them forever. And they may never get there. So clarity is very important. So you do not want to be petting on, notice here I'm not petting on Koji. I'm very relaxed. And, you notice again, this because this is taking stress off of Koji.
Kind of peripherally, he can see, so this kind of tempts him a little bit more, right?
And that's the other thing too, I mentioned that, peripherally. do not be looking over, okay, at the other dog. I mean, if another dog comes along or person, whatever, do not, you should be just peripherally, knowing what's happening, but you shouldn't be invested, because when you start looking over at a certain level, that changes the entire focus as to what you're doing. The dog is going to start to focus as well. It shifts the whole dynamic. So again, you should be totally focused on what you're doing in any given moment with your dog. You shouldn't really care about what's happening over here. I don't care if I'm going to get really close to Scrappy or not. The whole theme is I own everything. And so I'm just totally focused in the moment. I'm not investing that way into what is happening. Of course, I'm paying a little bit of attention because I'm not going to move. If Scrappy starts to kick up a little bit, then I'm going to be stationary until things settle down.
So you want to kind of, work at an angle. So here I'm just kind of at somewhat of an angle, so he can kind of peek if he wants to or try to. I'm not letting him fully look over. And so notice how the focus shifts to me. Because this is all about how I'm communicating with coaches. Say, hey, we might get over there, but through me. Okay, this is all just like a parent-child relationship. This is me advocating becoming the pivot point. So here, I'm going to slide over a little bit closer. Coach is doing really good. So as I
right here, see, body, using my body.
I'm going to turn again. So right away, notice how.
So right away, see, I use my body. It kind of nudged into him with my leg, and that creates a little bit of focus. That generates some focus on me as I'm in motion. Then I immediately pivot, and I turn again, because it's kind of like opening the window in terms of Koji seeing for a moment, which is fine. But I immediately close that window again. I turn once again, and again focus on relaxation as I start to edge closer.
I turned again, and just going to have Enzo's just going to be stationary.
But notice I have a baseline too. I mentioned this on my other video where I talk about keeping a foundation, keeping a baseline. Okay, so just picture the baseline as giving like a child comfort through the right parenting style. So because the whole thing here, I talk about being dialed in and being intentional level of control, maintaining over this dog. And so again, that's there. So when I nudge, I barely have to move the leash. I just nudge. I call it kinetic, but it just affects dog's focus in a certain moment. But if you have that baseline already there, then it's not going to represent slack in the collar where it's going to be jerky. And then if it's jerky, that again, that creates all sorts of other problems, because then you're not going to get the right information. Because right here, if I have enough tension coming through here, if I have my baseline, guess what? I'm dialed in. I can sense Koji's, as Koji starts to turn his head a little bit, I don't even have to be looking down. I can sense, Koji's, state of mind by way of how his body's moving, because, I can feel it directly through the choke chain, through that baseline, having that baseline. Now, that baseline does not generate conflict, okay? It offers comfort, okay? And so right away, I'm building through that baseline right away when I'm interacting with dogs, where I'm bringing that baseline online. The dog understands what I'm doing. And then, again, to intercept, then, it's just a matter of just adding just a little bit more pressure, very surgically, just at the insert moments, and then when that connection's broken, and that represents Koji turning his head in slightly towards me, I edge off just a bit. So it's very subtle. In fact, you'd have to really pay attention. That's why I talk about this system of training. There's a lot going on through how I'm communicating with dogs that way. Because you always have to give them an out. Understand, this is about it being reasonable. And yes, there's intentional control happening, which is necessary. But this is about, communication where the dog understands. Okay, you give, I give. But not to such a level where you give them control back. You have to keep that baseline and maintain that baseline.
For a bit.
See, Koji looking up at me? And that's the other thing. It doesn't have to be looking up my eyes, but there's a sense through the angling in that he's with me. See, that gives you something tangible you can take a hold of through the dog's reaction.
Well, I'm just going to work off of him. So he's not going to move yet.
Same here, same thing here. So I'm thinking about, again, going in a little closer here in a moment.
And so I'm moving closer. So when you do this exercise too, sometimes you don't want both dogs to be moving all at once.
But notice how my hand moved here just a little bit. Even as I'm talking, you notice, Koji's head just angling, and I just nudge just a little bit. And see, notice his head's right in, right towards me.
You want to pick and choose which dog. But here I'm, working off of Enzo, so I'm just
same thing here. See me applying the pressure?
Again, once Koji's somewhat, calm.
See pressure here?
Relax. And then I'll move again. So I'm moving in.
So I'm sliding in my leg. See right away, turn angling in. See my leg? I'm using my knee a little bit here.
Not too hard, just like a little nudge.
Went into a sit.
Use my whole body to kind of control him. So his tail's wagging. So this is like endorphins kicking off a little bit. So you can't always go by tails wagging. People look at tails wagging and say, oh, what a happy dog. And next thing you know, someone gets bitten. Okay, this is about context here. So, tail wagging isn't necessarily a good thing.
Scrappy here. You can tell from his little ears here, he don't like this. Okay, he's okay, but you can see how it starts to change. And it's funny too. Dogs will start to, you get closer, they'll start to turn away a little bit more on their own. It's almost like, well, you know what? I don't want to participate in this. I don't want to deal with this. It's like a child wanting to pick up their their baseball glove and go home. And so it's funny because you'll see it. Doesn't mean, and that's a good sign in a way because that's part of the transition. Not expressing control that way, not trying to be aggressive or nasty, just, the head just more kind of inward turning towards even Enzo here saying, I don't want to deal with this. Because this is, again, this expectation is being set up to the human.
In this case, his tail wagging isn't a bad thing. Okay, it's just like he's getting a little, revved up, but not to the level where I'm faded out. Doing really well here. This is great. This is really, really good. So I'm going to come a little closer here when Enzo's ready.
So, yep, moving closer.
You always want to check the other person too. Just don't slide in all at once.
I'm using my leg a little bit here.
Comfortable. So
I'm in pretty close here now.
I'm going to go, and I'm just going to hang here just for a moment. Now I'm going to disconnect here by
So right here. So once I got pretty close here, and this is where, again, I'm assessing if I'm going to continue or end the exercise here. So I'm going to end the exercise here because every time I'm doing this, I'm getting closer and closer and closer. And so it's always about kind of, just building bridges. So even here, you watch me as I'm ending the exercise, I'm going to turn in pretty sharp here on Koji. I'm going to use my body to help to generate focus on me the whole time as I'm moving. Watch this. I'm moving in. That. So you just boom.
And that was good. So that was good for this little part of the exercise. Again, this is the first time that Koji's been near Scrappy.
And they're right there, adjusting the choke chain. So again, great exercise. But this gives you a pretty good idea as to, socialization, how you want to build bridges that way. It's an exercise. It starts to transition more and more closer. But as things move along, dogs becoming more relaxed. They get into that almost like I don't care anymore attitude, and then eventually off leash. So understand that everything has a purpose. Everything moves towards the direction of relational change. But again, the situation here, when you're dealing with a dog, say like Koji, it's a intervention. It's a reversal. So it needs to move forward this way, for sure. So again, it's great exercise. Again, if you want to see additional content such as this, you can check out the member area option as well. I'm just using this video here to kind of really highlight, what socialization looks like, through this system of training. But from here, you can tell there's a lot going on. When people look at the videos, they just think force. Well, no. Yes, there's control that's necessary. But again, it's all about affecting change through a dog's perceptions. It's about being dialed in the right way. And so, again, it's understanding, your role in that in terms of how dogs connect with us that way. Dogs are social animals. And so again, this is all about, you know, starting to become kind of like the center of your dog's world. And then everything branches off from there. So again, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day.